Uncovered. ShadowTrader Studios.
All right, let's get into that loco trade because this was pretty cool. It's a great tweet, and you got it, I didn't. And I did this trade specifically. Stock is still ripping, Peter.
It is still ripping. I wish I had bought the breakout again.
I know.
So I made the first move, which was about 90 cents or something. It went to like 75 cents, excuse me. It went to 35.74.
So let's talk about the trade real quick. This is the setup that you were seeing.
Yep, right
here.
Let's put the circle. Yeah, right there, exactly. And just to make a long story short, so as I'm watching this, the first thing that brought Loco to my attention is, and obviously it's because the stock's been ripping the last few days, it's a recent IPO, but if we switch it to a daily, it just appeared to me that I knew that the high at the time was 35.10 or whatever that was.
Earlier in the day.
Earlier in the day.
35.10.
35.10 was the high of today, but prior to that, the 34.73 on the daily chart was that high from the other day.
Right, that was the high here,
exactly.
28th, which was Monday.
So it made sense to me that on a stock that's only been trading 3.5 days right now, there is no resistance up there. Who would be a seller in the in the clear air, as I call it, up there?
Nobody, because think about it. If you're in the stock from the IPO, you're happy.
You're happy.
You're
Why would you be selling? Nobody's going to be selling. So that's the first thing. So the second thing is you want to be buying any breakout above that area or a breakout over the current day's high. So at the time, like where Brad drew the line, I was watching a breakout over the current day's high. And as it was happening, what I kept looking at was seeing that there was huge size on the level 1 at the 35 offer in Loco. And that's why I sent a tweet about 5-10 minutes before the stock broke saying there's a big trader, there's a lot for sale at 35, and once they get out of the way, this stock should lift
this
much
This
higher.
was at 1:02 p.m., by the way, guys. 1:02
was the tweet. And what time did it break out?
20 minutes before it broke out.
Okay, so 20 minutes before it broke out. So
almost.
Yeah, so even 20 minutes before, I had already seen that the offer, and let's go to Trade Tab so everybody understands this, right here. And let's put the big square on it. I guess that'll help. Let's put a big yellow square. Now let's put it just on the size, just on the size.
Boom.
Yeah, exactly. This is where I was looking. And basically what I saw is each one of these single-digit numbers represents 100 shares. So when you see that it's 1 by 1, for instance, that tells you that the inside market is 100 shares bid and 100 shares offered at those particular prices that you see on the left. Like right now, 37.80 by 37.88, it's 1 by 4. So 100 shares are bid at 37.80. 400 shares are offered at 37.88. Those 400 shares, for instance, need to be bought and taken out for the offer to lift to wherever the next lowest offer is.
Exactly. So just put a couple zeros behind each one of these numbers. Whether it's 1 or 20, that's instead of 200, it's 2,000.
Represents 100 shares, exactly. And at the time that I sent out the tweet, the ask was $35, and the stock couldn't get through $35. And as I was watching this, the size, which is that boxed off area, kept going to like 200 and 300 on the offer. So it would be literally like 400 or 500 shares bid, and over here, right, 25,000 offered because there's 250 times 100.
Exactly.
So like 25,000 were offered. Then the number was at like 350. So I knew that 35,000 shares were for sale there. So this, you can assume, is not just coincidence. I think that everybody in the world wants to sell their Loco at $35 just because it's a big round number. This happens sometimes in stocks, but 9 times out of 10 what's happening is it's one guy. It's one institution. It's a big player that has a mandate and an order to fill, and they trade by committee, as we've discussed before, and they said, let's get rid of our shares at 35. Let's try and get 35. They know, they have a trading floor. They have good traders. They know that there's good momentum in the stock. We can probably get out of it. So I don't think it's a whole bunch of people all in there. I think it's one player.
Yeah, there's probably one player just probably getting rid of 70,
say
80,000
50,000 shares. Yeah, exactly, or whatever the case. So the trick is to just watch that very closely, and as that number gets whittled down lower, as the people are feeding on the 35 price, watching time and sales, you can see them just attacking it like piranhas. So you see all the green prints going off at 35. The moment that number gets whittled down to zero, the stock is going to lift like crazy, and you can see it. I mean, the next prints were like 35.20, whatever.
Exactly.
So you couldn't even really buy the stock on a buy stop. You had to be accumulating the stock before 35 as best you could, maybe buying at 34.99, whatever, and then just trusting that when that lifted, when that seller cleared out of there, it was going to pop.
Right. Because I was telling Peter before, and I wanted to share with everybody else, I put a buy stop limit on this trade. Now, I was going to buy it at like 34.97, 34.98, but I said, let me see what happens. I'm going to put the buy stop at 35.01, limit 35.05, which is only obviously, 4 or 5 cents or 5 cents over.
But let's explain that right now. So basically, what Brad is saying, if the stock traded 35.01, your limit order would be triggered. And you put, right?
Well, like a stop order, guys, it's a regular stop order, right? Once the price hits or passes through it, it becomes a market order. So if I just put a regular stop at 35.01, I would have got whatever.
Right.
But instead, I said, let me see exactly how much this thing's going to explode, and I put 35.01 stop, limit 35.05. So what that means is I'm willing to buy it at 35.01, but I'm not willing to pay more than 35.05.
That's right.
Well, as fate would have it, of course, the stock ripped, and I did not get filled.
Correct.
You know
Because the next prints may have been above 35.05 or whatever, or even if it was, only a little bit of stock went off.
I think that was
and what happens is it's then turning your order into a limit order of 35.05.
Exactly.
But if the bid already goes to 06 or higher, whatever, forget it.
I don't get
You're just sitting there bidding at 05. And when I was watching time and sales, I mean, I thought like the next print was literally 35.22 or something like that. I didn't see anything go like right after it. There was nobody there. So this is an excellent example of how this really worked like clockwork, because nobody was there offering above that. Everybody is watching the same thing, knowing that if once this guy gets out of the way, why would I sell at 35.01, 35.02, 35.05? There's no reason for me to be there as a seller, because the stock is probably going to travel much higher when it gets this guy out of the way. So
it was really interesting, and I just did it as a lesson, and I wanted to kind of share with everyone else out there. If I did get filled, I would have obviously told you guys about it, but anyway, the stock ripped to like 35.85 before pulling back.
Right.
Had I left my buy stop limit out there, guys, if it came back, I would have gotten filled. But I just canceled the order and then just kind of went about my business. And anyway, the stock just keeps going. So.
Good trade. Good trade. It's interesting. I don't know how far this is going to keep going, but on days like this, when it has the upward momentum and it's ignoring what's going on in the market, that's another key. Is that notice that as the market was going down again all morning. You can see where the volume is at the bottom of the chart, shows you where the regular trading hours in Loco is happening. Notice that from 9:30 to 11 a.m., when the broad market was falling, this stock was chugging slowly higher. So that tells you a lot about it.
Yeah, no, I guess these are like, what, fast food restaurants or something?
I guess they're fried chicken restaurants. That's what I thought.
Obviously, I'm thinking like some,
That's what I thought.
Is it like a Taco Bell type thing or Chipotle type thing?
Well, I don't know.
Quick service restaurants. I've never heard of it before it went public, so it's something out west. But in any event, they seem to love their crazy chicken.
Yeah.
And stock is very, very bullish. And again, there was an intraday trade here. So it's something that you can definitely watch and learn over time. When you start to see a stock build a shelf, and then you see it just going there again, and then just using simple level 1. You don't even need level 2. You can see where there's a big seller coming in, and as soon as that...
Just on that, exactly. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's not a level 2 thing.
Yeah,
I think that level 2 doesn't have... There's no real use to it nowadays. It used to be a long time ago, but I don't think there's any use to level 2 now.
Their true size.
Nobody's really doing it. It just doesn't make any sense. So, yeah.
ShadowTrader Uncovered. ShadowTrader Studios.